Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, what would happen if your mobile phone killed you?
We are tonight's entertainment.
I would rather watch Beautician and the Beast.
People don't forget.
Hey everybody, we are back once again. Exciting time in the world of cinema and movies. I'm your host, Aaron Wolf. With me as always, Eric Russo. What's up, buddy?
Can't complain. Very excited for this. We have definitely been waiting a very long time to do this one, I think is safe to say.
I think it's been exactly 1 year almost since they announced that they would be releasing the Snyder Cut, but that's for another conversation. We will do our official review on the Snyder Cut Justice League here pretty soon. But first, let's talk about some news. San Diego, here's what's happening in your world tonight.
Frame up two.
Let's go to Brian Fantana
Give me a tighter one on
live
two.
on the scene with a Channel 4 News exclusive. Brian?
The mood is tense. I have been on some serious reports, but nothing quite like this.
So there's a lot of stuff coming out about movies, and I think as things kind of get back towards normal, with obviously pandemic and movie theaters and AMC stock prices on Robinhood going crazy, it's just been pretty nuts for all the movies lately. But we're seeing a lot of content, and it seems to be looking like decent content. So starting off first, it looks like Jamie Foxx is going to play the venerable former heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson.
I was going to rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever.
In a TV series, a miniseries, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, sir. So it's going to be directed, and I'm going to butcher his name, Antoine
Fuqua, yes.
Fuqua.
Very good director.
Very good. He's hit or miss, but he's got Training Day under his belt,
Yes.
which I feel like he's been riding Training Day as his, like, you know, when they show a new movie, it's like the director of Training Day. It's really all he's got.
It's really all he's got.
Dude, I think he's doing the dice thing too much. That's really all he's got.
He's doing the dice thing too much. But
executive
Scorsese involved.
produced,
That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Which, I mean, is he really, though? I still don't understand what executive produced means. It's just basically like, hey, can we put your name on this? Sure.
Yeah, they get money. I know that much. That's pretty cool.
Fun fact about Scorsese is he did have his name attached to the Joker as an executive producer, and then he, like, took it back.
So he agrees with us that Joker is a terrible movie. Okay, awesome.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited. Apparently this is documenting like his rise. So like 20-year-old, which is pretty funny because I think Jamie Foxx is like 58.
Yeah, he's older. Yeah.
So I wouldn't have been angry if they went with like more of an unknown actor, or even had two actors play him, like a 20-year-old virgin, and Jamie Foxx kind of like playing him now.
Yeah,
I think
right.
would have been really cool. But Jamie Foxx is great. You know, he's good. He's definitely good at playing characters. So I think this will be good. I'm glad it's a TV series. But you excited for this one?
Absolutely. I'm a huge boxing fanatic. Have been for a long time. I think I saw Jamie Foxx do his Tyson impression on In Living Color back in the day as part of a sketch.
Oh.
So he's had that voice down for 30 plus years. So I think there's no one really better to play a character like this with, like you said, his credits as playing a specific person, like, obviously like Ray, like that's a pretty decent role to have. And Jamie Foxx, obviously talented. So I hope there's no de-aging if it's planning for him to be younger. That would be the worst. It just doesn't work.
I mean, luckily he looks young. So
yeah. I mean, he's definitely, aged well because he's obviously taking care of himself. But that's exciting. And then it looks like we've got another big star from the 90s coming back to revamp a once twosome of movies, now to be a trilogy. Ace Ventura Part 3, Jim Carrey coming back. What's going on with this?
Yeah, so I guess it officially, I originally thought he was 100% signed on. I mean, you would think Ace Ventura 3, especially from the writers of Sonic, this movie's being written by, that he would be in it. But now I'm seeing that he might be involved, which is just insane if he's not. I already am worried about it being good. But if he's not in it, I won't watch it. If he's not the main character, definitely
be the worst thing ever. Why even bother?
Like Son of Mask with Jamie Kennedy.
As long as it's not Dumb and Dumber 2, not Dumb and Dumberer, but Dumb and Dumber 2 that just came out a couple years ago. Where
spelled T-O-O,
or actually T-O. It's weird. Yeah,
even worse.
They made it worse. They were just playing caricatures of themselves from the 1994 Dumb and Dumber, and it was like, why are you guys not just being like that character? You're being a character of the character. That doesn't work. So I hope he doesn't do that with this. And I didn't see Sonic. I don't know if you did.
I did.
Was it any good? Was it well written?
It was. I mean, it was like the best movie of the year for the first 7 months last year because nothing else came out.
That's right.
But it was like a 5 out of 10.
Oh,
like,
okay.
It's one of those. I would say if it was on TV and you like Sonic, like I was like amused a few times.
Was Jim Carrey the best part of it?
He was very interesting in it. Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
That's not the response I was hoping for, but it's still good.
I mean, everyone loved him in it. I'm a pretty big fan of his, and people were saying that like he recaptured his 90s vibe. I felt like he was trying to recapture it, and it was just a little awkward, but he's not bad in it.
I gotcha. I'm excited to watch and review Ace Ventura 3, even if it is horrible, but 1 and 2 are top tier comedies for me, so I'm excited for it. Moving along, looks like we got some DC news on two fronts. With the release of the Snyder Cut of Justice League, the studio has kind of come out and said the Suicide Squad, which was also redone horribly by the studio, the original Ayer cut will not happen, period. Which I'm a little confused because I believe it's all done, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's completed, it's pressed, it's ready for release. This is what he turned in. He actually turned this version in to the studio, but what happened was the positive reception to that trailer with the Queen song was so well received that they freaked out and that they decided to let the people who edited that music video edit the movie, which they'd never edited a movie before, which is why Suicide Squad is basically one long music video.
Yes. Horrible. Horrible. Rick Ross. Come on, Batman. Horrible. Just a terrible. That's one of the worst movies of all time. That version of Suicide Squad. It would be interesting to see if the success of the Justice League Snyder Cut changes their mind at all. But they were pretty swift about saying we're not doing it. So that's a little weird.
Yeah, I feel like Warner's is getting bullied around. The Snyder Cut fans are pretty vocal. It's a minority. Don't get me wrong. There's only 1 million people that are freaking out, and I'm assuming the Ayer cut's going to have a fraction of that. So there's probably not going to be enough to actually get any traction to get this thing to come out. And I kind of don't blame them. We do have the Suicide Squad, the new one, the James Gunn one, comes out in like 4 months. So maybe this is something they revisit like 5 years down the road.
Sure.
Probably worth saving. And even Ayer said that too. Like, it's probably not the time to release it. But them just saying no is just going to get people freaking out more. They should have just said nothing.
Yeah. Why even say anything if it's not going to happen? Like, yeah, that's a good point. We've got some Michael Keaton news, which is always my favorite to hear about because he's hilarious in everything he does. But it looks like he was going to be reprising his role as Batman from 1989 in a Flash movie, but it sounds like it may not happen. What's going on there?
Yeah, so this has been kind of an ongoing thing now for a while. I remember seeing maybe almost a year back now that he had signed on, but there was never like official confirmation for him, like that he signed on, and no one was actually saying his name. They just kept saying like past Batman, and he's clearly they released like promotional artwork, and it's his Batman with the yellow logo on the suit. So everything was pointing to him being in this movie, but he's done a couple interviews where he's kind of not committed to it, and he came out today and basically said that One, he doesn't want to go to London where it's filming the Flash movie because he doesn't want to get COVID.
Oh, okay.
He's apparently like living in isolation on like a 17-acre farm in the middle of nowhere.
That's my dream. Like, how do I be him? That's fine.
But he also said he's so busy with work, and obviously he loves getting these character roles, so it looks like he's just starting to get all the jobs that he wants, and maybe he just doesn't really need the money and doesn't really want to relive Batman. I mean, he made fun of it in Birdman, which is kind of funny to like then go back to it. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do because Christian Bale is definitely not going to be the one that comes back and does it. So
I was going to say, like, there's how many Batmans to choose from? As long as it's not Adam West, I'd be happy with whoever it is. Like, because obviously, R.I.P. to Adam West. He was the OG and the greatest.
He
but
can't be in it.
he can't be in it unless they bring him back to life like they did Carrie Fisher and some of the other actors in Star Wars movies with the aging. But anyway, or Luke Skywalker, your favorite from Mandalorian season 2. But yeah, it's like you could literally pick any Batman. Like Val Kilmer would be great because I know he's like fat because when he in MacGruber he plays cunt and he's like just out of shape and gross looking compared to what he was in Batman Forever. But
I think that there's much more likelihood that they don't ever make this movie if they put Val Kilmer or George Clooney in it. So Ben Affleck's going to be in it. I just thought it was funny if you could read the article. We'll post it on social media, but he does not sound like he wants to do this. He literally is like, somewhere on my phone I have the script buried. He's like, I haven't looked at it. I know it's there. He sounds like he knows it's bad and he doesn't want to do it. Fun fact, it is directed by the guy who did It Chapter 2. So, yeah.
So it'll be long, no matter what. They're going to shoot 25 hours of footage.
Yeah.
Okay,
it'll be in. I bet you it'll be in slow motion if I know anything about DC and the Flash.
Yeah, we're gonna get into more of that later, but I'm over slow mo for the rest of my life, definitely. Last little bit of news here, with Warner Brothers releasing all this stuff on HBO Max this year, with the way things are still going with the pandemic, they're anticipating it looks like next year it won't be the same. And they have Warner Brothers has signed a deal with Regal Cinemas. So tell us a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, so there's been a battle going on between Warner's and some of the directors out there. I'm sure you remember Christopher Nolan spoke out against Warner Brothers and how this HBO Max deal is like killing cinema. Some of the movie theater chains have like refused to show Warner Brothers movies until they change this, straight to HBO Max same day release schedule that they have. So Regal Cinemas is reopening. I believe they're doing a soft opening April 1st, and then they're expanding out. So they'll be showing King Kong and they'll be showing Mortal Kombat. But starting January 1st of 2022, Regal Cinema will have a 45-day exclusivity over HBO Max. Long story short, that doesn't mean that they're the only movie chain that will have Warner Brothers movies.
Right.
It just means that officially HBO Max will no longer have the movies. They will probably get it 45 days after release now. So still cool, though. We'll still be able to go see movies in theaters, and then we get to see them for free again, which is great versus paying $5 or $6.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good thing. I think it's the light at the end of the tunnel for anyone who likes going to the movies a couple times a month or whatever, that things are hoping to be back to a better situation than they were. But it's almost nicer sometimes having the convenience of a movie like you may not have gone to see in a theater just being available, but I'm not gonna bash it for that. I like going to the movies. So yeah, a lot of good news out there. Shall we get into our official made for movies review of the Justice League Snyder Cut?
Yes. I'll keep it short and sweet because this movie is nothing about short or sweet.
It's neither of those things. I think, it clocks in at just over 4 hours officially. It took me over the course of 2 days to watch it in about hour-long increments. It would have been nice if that's how they released it, to be honest.
Before we get into initial thoughts, I just need to know, because we've talked about this a lot, did you expect this? Like, what were your expectations going in? Because you seemed pretty excited leading up to it. Were you just expecting it to be good or just better?
I thought it was going to be more coherent because of the length they told us how long it would be. So it's like, okay, well, a lot of the original Justice League from 2017 makes no sense because they don't explain anything. There's not enough backstory at all. So I figured that if they just dumped all the footage on us, they would fill in a lot of the gaps from that. I had a feeling it was going to be a tough, long drag, and it turned out to be that. But I was hopeful that it would be better than what I gave a 0.5 out of 10 for the Justice League 2017. I was like, if there's no upper lip drama from Superman, like there's not a floating fake mustache cover, it's already a 2 out of 10, like without question. So they didn't have that, thank God. How about you? What were your expectations?
That's super fair. Yeah, I wasn't expecting much. I hate the other version so much that, like I said, I expected it to be better, but like also like having blindness is probably better than watching Justice League 2017. So that's not really saying much to me, but I guess I was just hopeful that it would like be a movie that made sense.
Yeah.
If nothing else, but I really didn't expect it to entertain me. I was kind of looking at this more like an opportunity to really get the peek behind the curtain of like Hollywood and how they produce these movies and the decisions that they make, and how a lot of the decisions that the studios make aren't in the best interest of the audience, even though they think they might know what's best. Like they typically, the director has a much better vision, and the writers too. Like I don't think people realize how many fantastic screenplays like that we end up bashing after the fact were like great, and they just get butchered. Once they start filming, and it's nothing what the writer originally wrote, and they have to have screenplay by and get made fun of by us on this podcast. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Yep. No, that's very fair.
But yeah, let's dive into it. So what were your general thoughts on this? I want you to go first here before I might ruin your day.
Yeah, no, I definitely liked it more than the 2017 version. There's no question about it. I still think some of the things from the 2017 movie that stayed were bad, and those obviously like were part of the story they couldn't really avoid. Then they were trying to kind of chop together, but overall, I still agree that without origin movies for most of the characters in it, it's still tough to empathize with them at all, especially like Cyborg or Aquaman. Even though Aquaman, we technically did get an origin story after 2017, but it was so bad.
Man.
It was so bad that it's possibly worse than the 2017 Justice League Aquaman standalone movie. But I liked it overall. I was entertained because of what I know from the comics and the original cartoon series from Superman and Justice League. So it was going along those lines, and that if it was released this way originally and we did end up getting sequels, I feel like the sequels would have been awesome. Like just, I love a bloodbath movie, like a Lord of the Rings final battle. Like I'm all about that. I like seeing those types of things. So call me a nerd, whatever, but that's just the type of stuff that I feel like would be so cool to see Superman duke it out with the dark side, like whatever, so I did like it a little bit more. How about you?
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say that I'm one of the biggest detractors of the 2017 version. I really, really dislike Batman vs. Superman in theaters. I enjoyed to some extent the coherent version that was, 4 hours long or 3.5 hours of the extended cut or whatever. So it was actually a lot better than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
In fairness to this, it's too long,
Yes.
in my opinion. It's very frustrating in that sense. Like, I liked it. I enjoyed it. The parts that I liked, I really liked. The parts that I didn't like, I hated. There was definitely a lot of stuff from the other version that are still in here, and it, no matter what, just like PTSD, just kind of made me nauseous watching it. So it took me 3 days to watch it in 3 sittings, which probably helped out. I don't know if I could have made it through the 1 4-hour sitting. I don't know if anyone out there has done it. Let us know how that was comparatively speaking.
Yeah, right.
But,
For most
yeah,
people,
well,
it turns out to be 72 hours. That's how long the Snyder Cut
that's
is.
mine. Mine was
huge.
just a little over 72 hours it took to view. 72 hours, 32 minutes, 16 seconds was my official.
We survived.
We did survive.
No, I think like some of the finer points about this version that did make it a little bit better. You're right. Like they still had the dumb robbery or dumb bank. Or, I don't even know what was it a museum where this guy goes in and just tries to blow it up and then Wonder Woman saves the day. It's like they didn't explain anything about that again. And it was like, okay, they just made that scene longer with more slow-mo. And it was one of the nicer things is that it was an R-rated movie and it was a little bit more gory.
I thought that helped.
It did help. Like the fight scenes were just that much more impactful. But yeah, like to not, broaden what people can understand about that scene. It's just it made it right back to 2017. I was like, oh, come on. I hope the rest isn't like this. But I think the thing about the length, wasn't the slow-mo a little ridiculous overall?
Yeah, I would say the two biggest issues I had with it, three biggest issues. A lot of the corny stuff from before. We'll get into some of the specifics, but you hit the nail on the head. Just the fact that there's no origin stories, like you still just don't care about these characters, so it's hard to connect to some of them, and it really hurts. And I think if they had made 4 or 5 bad movies before and kind of got it out of the way, it would have really it wouldn't have had to been 4 hours. It could have been that 2.5 hour movie. But yeah, the 25 minutes. So this movie has a ton of slow motion, like scenes that are in slow motion for no reason at all. So in total, this was actually an article posted online. There's 25 minutes of slow motion in this movie.
Oh my God. Like just get rid of 20 minutes of it and it will be much better. Like didn't need to be the Flash running from the farthest part away in slow-mo the full time. It's like, okay.
Of everything, like the Flash stuff, I get.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get it. Like he needs to be in slow motion. He's also only 5 minutes of the 25 minutes.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
like you're saying, the other 20 minutes, it really does hurt the movie in my opinion. Like the fight scenes are so much better. Like when they show the Wonder Woman fight scenes when she's moving fast, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Right when they slow her down, they zoom in on her like computer generated face. It just to me, it takes you out of the movie. Like trust your audience to be able to follow the action.
Yes.
And be subtle, and you don't need to like, hey, look over here.
Yeah.
Look over here.
No, it's like it's for anyone who's watching this movie, they've likely watched Wonder Woman, and we know what the lasso does, and we know that she can block bullets with her magic cufflinks or whatever those things are. Like, okay,
trust us.
We get it. Yeah, like you don't have to do this again. I don't think anybody's committing 4 hours to watching a movie that they haven't watched at least what origin stories are available. So cut out that part.
But just general thoughts before we get into spoilers. I don't want to bash it too much because we are going to, dive into some things we didn't like. And overall, I would say I enjoyed it. It's definitely worth watching. Things that were infinitely better for me. The soundtrack was way better this time around. Bruce Wayne was still terrible, but Batman for the final hour was way better portrayed in the battle scene.
Yes.
Steppenwolf was infinitely better. He's probably the most improved player. Voice changed. Appearance changed, actions are changed. Everything is better. He's almost sympathetic at parts.
Yes.
But yeah, so there is a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. So that's pretty much all I got for general thoughts. So if you want to do spoiler warnings here,
yes. If you guys have not watched the Snyder Cut of Justice League, just so you know, there will be some spoilers we talk about in the next few minutes. So. Yeah, why don't you I think it's funny you mentioned the music. I actually thought you were going to mention it, but not that you liked it, that it was
really?
More corny. Because, like, it was like old depressing folk songs from 2020. Like, I'm going to walk down to the river. It's like very Snyder, very Snydery, though. Like, he puts these independent artists in all of his movies. And I thought you would have a big laugh out of that. I wrote that down specifically. But
I did laugh a lot, but it was better than the generic soundtrack. Like at least the music was like adding to it at certain parts, like the movie. But
Yeah,
overall,
like to have Aquaman with like a rock song like that's like in the 2017 version, it's like Jack White. Like it's like and like in this one it's like what I just said. It's like I'm going to the water and I'm gonna swim away. Like I thought it was really funny, the music choices, but it was definitely a positive compared to the 2017 version. So
for sure. But yeah, so let's dive into it. So yeah, one thing to definitely mention that I did not like and I thought was very dumb were the chapters, just the names.
Oh, so this is what happens. They basically give away the whole chapter by the title.
It wasn't even so much that. Yeah, that was that's another point for it. But just basically all the titles were lines of dialogue that were spoken at random points that really didn't have anything to do. Like the chapters had no purpose. They had no purpose. Some of them were just literally there, and then it would just go to the next scene. It's like, all right, well they're not separating themselves like in Inglourious Bastards, where it's like telling like these little individual stories. So because they didn't do a TV series, I don't know why he did the chapters. I think it actually like makes the movie worse.
Right. It adds nothing. I didn't think it needed to be in there, and each of the chapter screens is like 15 seconds long. So if they took out all 8 chapters, they would just add another couple minutes to the movie, or take away a couple minutes from the movie. So
yeah, that and the slow-mo, I think we're down to 2 hours.
Yeah, we're getting there, man.
So part 1, a lot of it's very similar. So you still obviously get the Superman scene where he dies and yells out no, or I don't know what he was yelling. It was pretty laughable because it goes on for 5 minutes.
It's really long.
But at least it was like some context as to why the boxes are awakening, which that's a point you brought up to me. It's like, all right, I get it, but did he need to yell for 5 minutes? But
yeah, it's all about setting up and filling in the blanks that I liked more about this one, but also that could have been accomplished with literally 1 minute versus 10. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah, we get it. So it's funny. I have a ton of notes here, but the Wonder Woman intro, again, very silly. Didn't explain it, but the music was very Dark Knight bank robbery scene. They pretty much just copied off that entire scene. So like, at least in that sense, it was better. And her action scene in it when she's actually hand to hand fighting them, no slow motion, is very, very well done.
It's bloody too.
It's infinitely better than the one we got, but still, these guys have no purpose in the movie. So
yeah, they brought back the lasso of Hestia compels you to tell the truth. It's like, okay, again, it's the same line that you made fun of from the 2017 version, and like, why are they doing this? They were planning on blowing up one building, and that this was going to set people back into the Dark Ages. That's literally a line that the guy says, and it's like, I still don't understand what the heck you're doing here, man. Like, that's not the way to do this.
Not good.
But it's longer, it's bloodier, and they get it done, and they intro Wonder Woman the same way. Blah blah blah, whatever.
Blah blah.
Next.
Then we get about 20 minutes of Aquaman, basically like a mini version of his origin movie story with him and William Dafoe. Didn't like this at all. Very boring. Not really caring about it. Don't care about Aquaman or the movie or anything that he does. But I did really like the scene with Steppenwolf talking to Desaad, I think his name is. Yeah, so they made Steppenwolf pretty sympathetic here. Basically said like, you'll never come back with us. Like you're screwed forever. I thought this is like the first time I actually cared about Steppenwolf's character.
Yeah. I think that I agree with you that Steppenwolf is 100% better in this version than in the previous version. Like he's seen as more of a main villain in 2017, whereas in this one he's clearly a pawn of a much bigger scheme and not nearly as important as he was in the last one, which does give a little empathy there. And like what he's trying to do is similar as far as, you know, getting these things to work, but yeah, he's darker, more ruthless, and just in general, just his fight scenes seemed to be better than they were. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. So that was probably the biggest improvement for the first hour was the Amazons versus Steppenwolf fight scene. I hated in the other version, and this version, because of the things you said, you have the added blood. I also love that the temple falls into the water and
destructive.
They all die.
Yeah, like crazy.
Yeah. All the cheap dialogue of like mother and you will love me is all gone. So no, really, really improved that scene. I couldn't believe I was caring about what was happening. I was like, wow, I felt very weird inside my body. I was like, I kind of like this.
No, it's definitely good. What happens next?
Yeah, so from there, so this is like the hour mark, and I'd say at this point, I don't know about you, but it's on the borderline of me saying this is great.
Yeah.
Like it's 8 out of 10 at this point. Like amazing first hour, all things considered, considering how bad the other version is. And this is where, for me, it hits just like this peaks and valleys, I guess you could say, right? So we enter a valley. With hour 2, which starts out with the Dark Side flashback, which is the same exact scene from the theatrical cut that Steppenwolf was in, except now 3 times as long, with Diana, Wonder Woman, giving this monologue, basically just explaining every part of the plot to us.
Right.
What did you think about this?
I thought it was better that they elongated it and that Darkseid was the main person who was trying to take over at that time. We find out more stuff later as to why Earth was chosen, which was one of my biggest critiques for the 2017 version, where it was like, why does he care about this little planet? I thought it was a little corny, again, to have like Zeus be in the army.
Gerard Butler.
It's like, okay, yeah, Gerard Butler. This is Sparta. But I thought it was really cool that they brought in 2 Green Lanterns to this. It was kind of setting up that, they're obviously part of the universe and a powerful force to be reckoned with. They basically win the battle for it, with obviously Zeus's help. They brought back your main boy Hades from Ares from Wonder Woman, who is Zeus's son. But
I didn't see him in there. Everyone keeps talking about it.
He was the guy with the bow and arrow.
Yeah, I just chose to ignore that he's in it.
No, he had the big axe. That's what he had. He's the one who chopped down Darkseid. But it was literally the same scene, but they, in Diana or Wonder Woman talking about it, it just cleared up so much more about what the mother boxes mean and why is Darkseid here and what do they want to, with Earth and all that. So again, just providing more context in a much longer version, I thought was good.
Yeah, so this is where me and you differ on this scene. I didn't like it at all. I'm not a fan of CGI battles, especially, like I said, I'd already seen this exact scene play out with Steppenwolf, and nothing really new to the table here. I guess they had to do it. I'm like trying to think of another way for them to do it because she explains so much.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but it's about 7 minutes long of her talking and explaining. Yeah, and I just it's too much. I think that they didn't need her talking the whole time. They could have just let the battle show it and hit some key points. But yeah, I was not a fan. This started to bring back PTSD, so I was like, oh, this movie's great. This scene happens, and I'm like, oh, boy.
Humans bury the mother box in the ground again.
What are you doing? Burying you.
They didn't change that, even though it was dumb.
Yeah, but this is we start to get into the very poor part of the movie for me, with which is like part 3 of the movie, where you get the Flash intro, which is different this time and is good. It's in slow motion the entire time, where he saves the girl from getting hit by the truck. Yep. A little overlong with the slow motion. It's about 5 minutes of slow mo, just in this scene alone. But yeah, from there we get into the Cyborg backstory stuff with the football game, which is the entire football game is in slow motion.
I think everything with Cyborg as a flashback was in slow motion. Absolutely everything. Car crash, talking to his dad.
And it's an hour. It's a full hour.
It's so long. They basically tried to squeeze in the Cyborg origin story within the movie. Like, that's just how it broke down. And it wasn't enough. I still don't like Cyborg whatsoever. He's unlikable. He's much, much better in this. And because they did this, it did give a little bit more context. And he says the F word a couple times, which is kind of cool, I guess. But overall, yeah, I'm with you on that. This part drags because it's basically a movie about him, and
it's a full hour too.
Yeah,
it's like a legitimate hour. 2 is all about him, and it just doesn't do it for me. Again, I agree. As an actor, he's much better. Like, he comes across better, but I still, the same problems with Aquaman is I just don't care.
Yep.
And I care way less because of how bad the 17 version was. So, like, I'm not looking forward to this part, and that's not really their fault. That's more Warner Brothers' fault for messing it up so bad the first time. Maybe if I don't know. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the second hour was terrible. It really had it has a couple points that are important for later. I think they could have knocked it out in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. And it harkens back to 2017. Like, was it enough that they gave info about what Cyborg can do in the 2017 version? I think so. And they could have done that here and then focused on some other stuff. And I think it would have made it a little bit better, but is this where we get into like the rescue of his dad and stuff like that? Is that within this hour?
Cyborg, not quite. The rescue of his dad in
like underwater, where they all come together finally for the first time, and
right. Yeah, okay. Yep, that is it. Yeah, that's the end of the second hour. I apologize. Yeah. I hate this scene so much from the I'm sorry if anyone likes it. I was praying, I was like, please God, don't be the same as the theatrical, and it's almost the exact
literally
same.
Identical, except that Steppenwolf is a little bit more violent with the prisoners because he's trying to extract information. That's the only thing that's different. The rest, it's the worst fight scene in the whole movie, without question.
Yeah. My buddy Adam Thailander, shout out to him. He did bring up that the Flash is portrayed differently here in the sense that he doesn't like flat out say like, I'm a little bitch and I'm afraid. He still has mannerisms that would show that he's afraid. He just doesn't outright say it, which, he thinks helps the scene a little. I disagree. I think the scene is dog shit. Yeah, so this little hour and a half in the middle of the movie just is terrible. It's as bad as anything that was in the 2017 version, and these bad periods. So like after that Darkseid fight, I had to pause it. I was like, all right, I don't want to hate this. I want to like it. So I stopped.
Right.
Came back the next day, watched up until this scene, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to hate this. So I stopped immediately after the scene because like it was getting angry. I was like, please, like let this movie just be good. And we're like halfway through the movie, and that's where it does start to get a little better, I think, after this scene. Other than like Bruce Wayne still saying like, what's your superpower? I'm rich.
What are your superpowers again? I'm rich.
Yeah. They didn't do too much to improve Affleck's dialogue in the whole thing. They did have a lot of it already shot, but it's just so funny, like that where they come together and like standing around in a group. I thought that was a little different from the 2017 version, but it was still boring and like, okay, we got to make a plan and we got to talk about it and we got to circle around with the camera and da 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 da. I was like, this is where it was really dragging. Like you could feel the time of 6 hour long movie like coming towards you. Like this isn't the best. They could have.
It wasn't
better.
bad. Yeah, you're right. Like it was better. Like what they were saying to each other wasn't making me like my soul hurt.
Yeah,
like
it's because we could
dialogue.
understand what they were talking about because they filled in the gaps for us. It's like, wow, a movie's coherent if they explain stuff. That's incredible.
Yeah, it wasn't all terrible. There was a couple scenes I really liked. I actually like the graveyard scene where they were digging him up, which was so dumb the first version. But this version, it's like a few minutes longer, and they have like a couple nice moments with Aquaman and Wonder Woman, where like you're just seeing them not talk like superheroes,
right.
Which to me is always infinitely more cool than like them dick measuring the whole time, like
or Batman getting pushed around by Wonder Woman because he's trying to use horrible dialogue to psych her up into being some leader. And all, yeah.
You were a warrior and a leader.
Oh God,
it's too good.
Bad.
It's so funny still. Like again, having that experience of watching the 2017 one in the theater and just laughing, like we have to go back 1 second to Aquaman, the way he's introduced. The worst part of the first hour, without question, in the first one is how he jumps into the water. You called it like Marco Polo avoidance.
Marco Polo backsplash. Yeah.
They took that out, which is nice, but they replaced it with a very strange, like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings type of song sung by the inhabitants of that city. And it's just like that's where I laugh the most, because the subsequent music throughout the whole film is like again, like just folky, and it's like, why is this superhero music? I understand a certain way, but like I would have taken the back jump splash way more than the singing at that point. But that's again back at the beginning. Just your fair warning to everybody.
That's a great point to bring up. I actually liked it. Like
yes, I never in a million years thought you would say that, like, at all.
Yeah. Like I hate the backsplash thing. To me, is the worst thing that's ever been put on film. Like I just can't get over. He can dive off, like, and later in the movie when he leaves, like, he smashes the bottle, he jumps and dives into the water. It's super, like, heroic. Like, I could never get over him falling, like, literally falling backwards like a toddler. So anything here would have been better. No matter what they chose to do, I would have been like, yeah, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So the singing, and then you just see his, like, little bubbles as he goes underwater. I was like, oh my God. Honestly, it made me feel pretty good inside. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought it was kind of neat that they had him vanish into the water without making a sound, kind of like how Batman usually like leaves people. So that's what that feels like.
Now, do you think those people are there only for him to go underwater without being seen? Like he's like, all right, start singing, distract everyone. I'll be back.
Yeah, that's literally their whole job. That's why he gives them money and food.
Yeah. And fish.
But anyway.
So we move on to the infiltration scene. So the plan is, once again, let's go bring Superman back, although I've already had a vision that he is evil for sure in the future, and this seems like me doing this is probably going to lead to that future coming true. Let's do it anyway. Yeah. Bruce Wayne, ladies and gentlemen.
The dumbest mother effer in the whole world. Wow.
So I like the scene. I like the infiltration scene much better. It's more coherent. Them evacuating the base, like, okay, that's why there's no people there. Everything makes a lot more sense. One line that's in here that was not in the theatrical, that might be the worst line in the movie for me, is, I don't know why someone says, like, get dressed, but, like, before they go in, I think Aquaman or Wonder Woman, someone says to Cyborg, get dressed. And he takes his
I think I remember it. I'm always dressed.
You should get dressed.
I'm always dressed.
That's exactly right.
Horrible.
I'm always dressed.
Horrible.
And it's like, oh, I get it, because you're a robot. I get
oh,
it.
how dumb.
You don't have to change clothes, but it's so bad.
No, I
can't believe they left it in.
It's pantomime to Captain America saying suit up in all the Avengers movies. I get why they have it in there, but he could have just said, I'm ready to go, or locked and loaded, or anything would have been better than I'm always dressed.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to say anything. I think we get it.
Yes.
Like, again, be subtle. We don't need you to tell us stupid things, but I like the scene of them going in. I thought it was funny in this version and the other version is that, like, Batman doesn't want to ride in the car with them. He still has to sneak in and, like, rappel down, like no one's going to see him do that.
they all get in there so easily, and they could have got in there so easily, but they do this elaborate plan that Flash is an army guy, an army truck driver, and drives into the facility with Cyborg giving him clearance. It's like, you guys have powers and can fly, and probably could have got in there anyway.
Last I checked, Batman's the only one who doesn't have powers. The other ones can fly and disappear and not be seen.
Yeah, I agree. I was like, this didn't need to be in it. Save 10 minutes. There we go. We're getting closer to a 9-hour movie as opposed to a 12. So
yeah.
Bad.
Well, moving on to hour number 13. I did like again. I like the scene with Cyborg's dad like calling them off. I thought that was a good little moment of him seeing the team together. I like the Cyborg Vision. He sees the which is funny because you call him Vision, but
boring Vision, yes,
boring Vision. But he sees the vision of Superman killing half the team, and then he like tells the Flash not to run. And he says no, and Flash is like, go. And then and that's how the world ends, ladies and gentlemen. No, it was good. But once Superman wakes up, again, becomes one of the worst movies of all time for me the next 20 minutes or so. Made infinitely worse by one key plot change this time. Wolf, do you want to break down what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm pretty sure I do. So literally 5 minutes before Superman is resurrected, Lois Lane is in the same place he gets resurrected.
In the Snyder Cut, not in the other version.
Right. In the other version, Batman plans on having Lois there, which is honestly probably a better point. But Lois is nowhere to be found for 30 minutes, even though she can obviously hear and see Superman alive, even though she was literally just standing there. And then comes back, and then it's, oh, there's Lois. There's somebody I recognize that I like. So Superman snaps back the light. It's like, what it could have all been avoided by just having her there, and again save some time. They didn't have to fight,
and she was there.
She was
there. So to me, she's the ultimate villain, for letting them just get destroyed by him for 14 minutes. The scene's the exact same, minus they took out the "Do you bleed" line. Thank God, I do appreciate it.
My goodness,
but it's still my least favorite scene in the movie. I know people probably love it. I'm happy for you. I wish I did. I don't want to hate it. I just can't get over the silliness and anything that doesn't need to happen. Like, yeah, I get it. They want to show that he's super strong. Cool. We know.
We've seen 2 other movies.
Yeah.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
It's bad. Yeah, that's really all I can say about it. From there, yeah, I mean, Superman goes off again. Everything is very similar to the theatrical, as far as like the in between the big moments at this point.
Yeah.
And then we get the final battle scene, which this is probably my favorite difference between the theatrical and the Snyder Cut is as soon as they arrive to the battlefield, this 30-minute scene versus the original, I think is like 12. It's a 12-minute battle in the first one.
Yep.
Yeah. So, why don't you give us the rundown, Wolf? How do you feel about this final battle?
So this is where the movie, I would say, redeems itself from the previous 2 hours, and it kind of gets back towards the first hour, where I feel like this fight scene is about 50 to 100 times better than the 2017 version. Much more bloody, much more just action in general. Unfortunately, some of the dialogue from Cyborg and Aquaman is the same. And instead of Cyborg saying, "You're welcome" to Batman in this one, he says it to Aquaman, who then proceeds to do his "my man" line, which that was horrible. But I found it to be the best change was that there were no more civilians in this irradiated nuclear wasteland. Literally.
Wait, they took the Russian family away?
No more Russian family. Thank goodness. And like another thing I quickly remembered was that Superman saves an entire building in the 2017 version full of people. And it's like, why? Again, this is a nuclear holocaust, a broke down nuclear reactor, and this land is not livable. In the 2017 version, there are families not thriving in this area, because how could they? But they're living, and they don't seem to be mutating in any way or anything like that. But how
do they get food? Where's the local supermarket?
Where's Kroger in this Russian wasteland? It doesn't exist. And them not being there, no civilians or anything like that around this, it makes it a little bit better. But it does tie back to kind of what you were saying last podcast about how Superman was killing thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in Metropolis during the first Man of Steel movie. But it was nice that these people weren't there, because they just didn't need to be in the last one either. And the fighting was much better in this. Again, more blood. Batman infinitely better. He's killing way more of the parademons in this one and making an impact versus just getting tossed around like a chump. His suit is still way too big for him. Like it's still awkward, but I think it gets really good as they start to get to Darkseid possibly getting to Earth and like the mother box is actually joining. And what I thought was really a decent kind of tie back to some of the comics and some of the story of Flash being able to, change time. Superman can also obviously go back in time with his powers and his speed, but I thought it ended a lot better as far as this fight. How about you?
Yeah, no, like I said, at this point in the movie, I started off really hot. I was probably about an 8 out of 10 for the first hour. The next hour and a half really, really just didn't do it for me. Very similar to the original. So going into this battle, I really just wanted this thing to end. I'm not gonna lie. I did not expect to enjoy it, but I try to watch everything with an open mind and not hate it. Just like, oh, this sucks, which I was on the verge. I could feel myself doing, which is why I took my final break before starting this final battle. Which, if you're out there, I highly recommend to do. You'll probably like it a little bit more. It'll break it up more like a TV series. But yeah, a couple things I really liked about the final battle. One, the sky wasn't just randomly like red.
Yeah.
Which it was just like a nighttime, which I definitely helped with just it didn't look as CGI. It didn't look as fake to me.
For sure.
And that's actually a good point you brought up with the family. Last week I talked a lot about how Zack Snyder doesn't really have stakes at the end of Batman vs. Superman. He like goes out of his way, like there's no one here.
Yeah, it's an abandoned island in Gotham or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This one, it didn't bother me as much, and I thought it was well done because I felt the stakes of Darkseid and Steppenwolf already on the world. Like if they win, the world gets destroyed. So I didn't need people there. So I actually give them props for removing that element, and I agree. It just made it infinitely better for sure. I agree. Batman, 100% better. The fighting with Steppenwolf way better.
Yeah.
Not much usage of slow-mo. So the main fight, I guess it would be Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Superman versus Steppenwolf, and it's entertaining for sure. I really enjoyed it. I love the Flash going through time thing. I think that's like probably my favorite scene that was added in.
Where the explosion happens and literally vaporizes even Superman.
Yeah, which I guess I didn't realize they did a poor job of explaining that if the box is synchronized, that would happen. I just thought it would I basically thought if the box is synchronized, it would turn into like the nightmare world.
Right.
I didn't know that they would all just die.
Yeah.
So it was seeing him kind of like put their bodies back together and like the blood was coming together was super cool. It was a really good moment for his character, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it still had its issues. The dialogue was still bad, but like I said, like I'm not going to be too nitpicky because it's so much better than the other version,
right.
And I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with it for sure, and it ends on a good note. I did laugh out loud when they do the hero shot, which is in the trailer where they're all standing on like.
It's the edge. It's the edge of the nuclear reactor, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So they're standing on like the Hoover Dam. It looks like.
Yes.
And Bruce's plane pulls up, and the door opens. The door is now open, and for at least 2 minutes, they all just stand there and they stare. They're just staring at the open door. I'm like, what are they doing? Why aren't they getting in? I know what they're doing. Like they're trying to do the hero shot.
Yeah.
But it's so bad. It's really, really bad.
I think it's funny that they are so surprised that there's a thing that flies, like a machine,
Yeah.
Because like almost all of them can fly. Like we find out in Wonder Woman 84 that she can actually fly. It's kind of weird.
I mean, yeah, Batman falls with style, I would say.
It's I thought that part was weird because they're like, we finally got it working. It's like. You have unlimited technology. You have alien technology. You could literally do anything you want. And they were just so stunned that it could come back. I just thought that was dumb. But
also funny. So they clearly climbed to the top of this nuclear reactor. I just thought it was funny that no one gives Batman a hand. Like they all flew up there, and like Batman, like you see him, like he grapples up and he's like struggling to like climb up the top. I'm like. What? No one could just like Superman literally could just be like, "Come with me, like here, I'll take you, bro."
Why doesn't he just blow cold air under his feet and make him fly up there or something? Like it could be anything.
Is it a pride thing? Like he just didn't want the? which they should have kept that scene in. He's like, "Hey, do you want me to take you?" That would have been funny to me.
I
Like,
agree.
"Hey, you want me to take you up?"
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get to the epilogue. Very boring to me with the cyborg stuff and just it's I get it. They wanted to end it on a really good note, so I'm not going to bash it too much. But then we get to two post credit scenes, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they added
so
one.
Break down the first one. Yeah.
I think that they added the one of the post credit scenes from the 2017 version to the actual end of the movie with Deathstroke, played by the guy from Magic Mike with the huge,
I just call him Joe Magalano.
Yep. He's got cool hair, by the way. And it's with Lex Luthor. We find out Lex Luthor's escaped. He's on a yacht. They're plotting to kill Batman, so they're trying to set up a Batman movie with Ben Affleck, and it's sad that it'll never happen because Deathstroke as a character is fascinating, and we wanted to get to know more about him. And then I don't know if it really I think it should have been taken out because they could have shown Lex Luthor just escaping prison, and that would have been enough for me because there's not going to be anything else. It was the same exact scene.
Yeah, it was almost the same scene, except instead of saying that they were going to form a team, he just told him Bruce Wayne's identity. But yeah, to me, especially with what we know, which we're about to talk about, which is like the next scene, it really has no purpose in the movie. Like, so of all the things, like I get he wanted to have his vision, but the only thing I can think of why he kept this in is to show Deathstroke wanting to kill Batman, only to have like a minute later a flash forward to the future where they're teaming together to show like the time has passed. I think that's what he was going for, but otherwise I didn't like that it was setting up a movie that we're not going to see, and not even his movie, like the Batman movie, which I thought was silly. But yeah, so from there we move into the juiciest part, I think, of the whole movie, what everyone was been waiting for. What do we got for the post-credit scene?
So we go back towards Batman versus Superman. Flash had traveled back in time to warn Bruce about Superman and Lois being the key. What they call the nightmare scene in that. I would call this the nightmare scene. It looks like Darkseid has eventually gotten to Earth, taken it over, found the anti-life equation, and Batman, with some of the remaining Justice League members and a few additions that are interesting, they are scouting or doing something on a bridge, trying to find, trying to avoid Superman, trying to take down Darkseid. So I think it's a cool thing, but because we're never going to see the sequels or anything like that, it sucks because it's just setting us up for something we really would want to see, but just doesn't happen or isn't going to happen. So I thought it was funny to hear Batman say he wanted to kill somebody, which was our boy Jared Leto. Tell me about Joker in this last scene here.
Yeah, so I think this last scene, it seems mostly in the movie to redeem Jared Leto's Joker character, if nothing else. Like, it's weird that he said like he added this in. I wonder what the scene would have looked like had Joker not been in it, because he really is the entire scene. So really curious to see what other plan he had before he like thought, oh yeah, let me put Joker in this. But yeah, no, I think he's incredible in the scene. I think this gives you a really good chance to see what he could have done with the Suicide Squad had he been given the chance to.
Are you sweet talking me? I love this guy.
I also think that he was playing the role slightly different. So much time has passed. He's now had time to, one, see Joaquin Phoenix, right, and see that people, for the most part, responded really well to him doing something a little more, not like the character.
Right.
And for me, it looks like he really tapped into his role in Dallas Buyers Club, where, he won an Oscar for that role. He's very, very over the top in that role, and he's awesome in it. But it looks like he literally just did that performance, turned it up to 11, and kind of added the Joker laugh, and it works. It's creepy.
So as usual, I'll be the bigger man. A truce, Bruce.
It's perfect. I didn't like Ben Affleck in it because they're not filming together, and you can tell. And Ben Affleck seems like he doesn't know how to react to what the Joker is saying, which is pretty funny. But what did you?
Yeah. Do you know who he's talking to when they were filming that originally?
Oh, it's got to be Zack Snyder. It's got to. Both of them are talking to Snyder for sure. I would love to have been there to watch them film the Snyder and Ben Affleck thing. But yeah, what did you think about his performance?
It makes me want to see the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad really bad again and see more of Jared Leto as the Joker, because he was good and he made some good points like in what he was talking about. So yeah, I thought it was redeeming for him as well, and he was obviously the focus of this post-credit scene. But yeah, we see like Deathstroke and Batman are now allies with all the other Justice League members, and some more Aqua people are coming out to the desert wasteland. I don't know how good they're going to do on land, but I think all the water's gone in the world.
My favorite, like Waterworld, Kevin Costner. Well, I guess it would be the opposite of that movie, actually. But pretty funny. I did think it was funny that the Flash. I was like, is that the same actor? Because it's like that John Mulaney skit where he's like, and now the doctor has a mustache to show the passage of time. Like he just randomly had like this perfect porn mustache, and I was like, all right, Flash, growing up a little bit.
It done.
Yeah. But
anyway, why don't we get into our official made for movies ranking or rating on Snyder Cut?
Yeah, so I want you to give me your score and tell me why you went with that score.
I would say overall, it's a 5 out of 10. Not great, not filling the seats. It's something that's there, and if you disliked the 2017 version as much as we did, it redeems a lot of that movie and makes it much more coherent, and I think that's what does it for me. And the fight scenes are better, so it bumps it up a few points to a middle of the road movie that is way too long, but if you know where to skip, then you'll be able to watch it in 2 hours and actually understand. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10 officially.
Fair enough. I think that's very fair. So it was hard for me to score this because, again, there's a lot I love. There's a lot I don't like. I think I'll surprise you, though. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I know. And I almost gave it a 7. So for me, in order to be a 7, and again, I'll give my buddy Adam a shout out. He makes a good point. To me, a 7 is a good movie. A 6.5 can be a good movie too. The difference being, a 7's a movie that you're like, it's rewatchable too.
Yes.
I don't think I'll ever rewatch this, and I don't think I could recommend that anyone needs to ever rewatch it. Right. Definitely highly recommend anyone that likes these types of movies. It's worth a one-time watch. Even if you just like film and you've seen the other one, you just want to see, like how, like the process of movie making and how one movie can be perceived one way, only to come out the other side looking completely different. I give it additional points mostly for the fact of how much I hated the other one and how likely I thought I was going to hate this one. It's got tons of flaws. Like I said, not quite a 7, but it's very entertaining and it ends well for me, which is always super important. And I'm a sucker for a good Joker scene, so that always sends me out on a high note for sure. But yeah, so that makes our overall score 5.75 out of 10. So yeah, I think we both could agree though. Would you say that definitely recommend checking this out?
Definitely, and I think like you said, it redeems so much from the last one that it's a real movie at this point, where the other one just isn't a movie. It's just a bunch of garbled mess. So the clarity's there. Absolutely. But yeah, official score 5.75, guys. We hope you liked the episode. Anything else, my friend?
So a couple things. So just want to give everybody a rundown. We have some awesome stuff coming up. We're going to be announcing our first giveaway. We'll probably announce that April 1st, I think is the plan, which will be on next Thursday's episode. Some really cool stuff going on, so be ready for that. Next week, we're going to be reviewing 2 movies, so a little double feature action, with Cherry, which is the Tom Holland, Russo brothers movie, as well as Wolf's recommended movie of Coming to America. So I'm looking forward. I have not watched it yet, so I'll be watching it in the next week. Looking forward to that. And then last is just some shout-outs, too. So just wanted to give a shout-out to our friends over at the Movie Mania podcast. Adam and Jacob just launched their new podcast. So awesome podcast. They're doing 3 reviews typically per episode. So really blasting through content. I highly recommend checking it out. They're not as much of assholes as me and you. So, but
yes.
yeah,
No,
sure.
they have a great podcast. I agree. Definitely check it out, guys. And for us, we officially have our merch in hand. So if you go to madeformovies.com/merch, MERCH, grab a t-shirt. $5 from every shirt sold. We are giving to a local charity here in Detroit called Forgotten Harvest. It's a food bank. And we like this because small donations like $5 a shirt go a really long way to help feeding the hungry in our little world here. So we really appreciate it, guys. Check us out on our social medias. We'll be posting quite a bit. And look out for that giveaway. Should be good. We'll see you guys next time. See ya.
Bye.
Tell me, do you bleed?
Thank you guys for listening to the Made for Movies podcast. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. Please feel free to send us your thoughts and opinions on these movies that we've discussed, your rankings, any movies you want to see, any movies you'd like us to review. Please shoot us a note. You can find our info on our website, which is madeformovies.com, our Instagram, which is Made for Movies Podcast. And we really hope you liked it, guys. Have a great day. See ya.